Saving money to live out your retirement dreams is important, but what happens when those plans are interrupted because of a medical problem?
Our next guest has ways of putting more money in your pocket and keeping it there rather than having to spend it on long-term care needs. President of Tampa Bay Advisory, Michael Watkins, is here today to talk about this ever-growing problem. So welcome to the show. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Some important information that we're going to go over today.
Yes,
so you wrote a book
Yeah.
all about this. Why did you decide to co-write this book on long-term care?
Well, professionally, I design retirement income plans, and a large part of that is focusing on things that could completely derail your financial security in retirement. And long-term care happens to be one of those things. So I wrote the book to bring awareness, but also to bring hope to people that don't understand it.
Yeah. So in your experience, how big of a problem is this where people don't plan for long-term care?
Well, quite frankly, the statistics are not that comforting. We've got over 10,000 people a day turning 65 in the United States. They're called the baby boomer generation, which I'm a member of. And longtermcare.gov tells us that nearly 70% of those people will need some form of long-term care. And then we have the National Institute on Aging that tells us that every 66 seconds, someone's being diagnosed with Alzheimer's.
Yeah. Wow.
So not planning for a scenario that seems to be likely could put retirees their security in jeopardy if they don't look towards long-term care.
Yeah. Well, then you also have that sandwich generation, right? Who have parents who are baby boomers, and then they have children too. And so I'm sure they're at home like, oh man, I really need to learn more about this as well to help mom and dad, right? So what should our viewers do if they are concerned about long-term care?
Well, I definitely talk to an advisor that specializes in long-term care, but also one that understands how to help them preserve the rest of their assets. And we start the long-term care conversation with two simple questions. One, if you needed care, where would you want to receive it? In your home, in an assisted living facility, or in a nursing home facility. And many people will say in their home for obvious reasons. The next question we ask is, if you needed care, what asset would you liquidate first to pay for that care?
Right.
And many people, again, will say their 401k or their IRA, since those are typically the largest pools of money that they have, and that's where Americans have their wealth. And so that leads me to this next question. If we could show you how to use a portion of that money to preserve the rest of your retirement savings and provide for long-term care, is that something that we should talk about? And here's why that's so important. Retirement is going to be the longest and most expensive vacation of our lives.
Right.
So not being prepared for something like long-term care expenses could put you or a surviving spouse in financial turmoil. And by the way, ladies, this is a woman's problem. Women outlive men by, on average, 7 years. And so I believe one of the sweetest love letters you could ever write to a spouse or a loved one is through this type of planning. And it simply says, I care about you as much as I care for myself. And that's why I'm so pleased to have spent time with you ladies today to help us get the good news out and highlight my book.
Yeah, well, we have about a minute left. So what can viewers expect if they come to you for advice? And when should someone, how old should someone be when they come to you?
Well, I typically work with, pre-retirees, so late 50s, early 60s. It's never too early to plan.
Yeah.
This type of stuff is just like life insurance. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It's really all about your physical health. So why wait until a physical ailment could crop up and maybe knock you out for good coverage. But to answer your question, what they can expect is to have an open and relaxed conversation. I speak in plain English.
Yeah,
I don't
right.
use financial jargon and,
Right.
and financial mumbo jumbo. And they can also get to see our income for life planning process, which actually allows them to bring the future into the present so that they can do something about it. And it's really powerful, and people love it. And I would say that everyone's going to be treated with respect. So
Yeah.
welcome to my office.
You have a special deal for our viewers, correct?
Oh, yes. You can go to tampabayltc.com and get a free copy of the book.
Lovely.
And and I hope everybody will read it. And,
Right. Well, thank you so much for coming.
Yeah.
We appreciate it. Hey, there's a number on your screen that you should jot down
Yeah.
right now. So to learn more, you go to that website that you just mentioned. I'll
Yeah.
shout it out one more time, tampabayltc.com. And again, you can call that number on your screen. The next 20 callers get a free copy of his book. So call that number.